How does lost media truly stay lost? Even with all the resources and information we have at our fingertips today, it can be many months and even years, but now and again something will be found, and sometimes in the least likely of places. Today we're looking at 10 pieces of lost media that were found in 2024. But first, allow me to thank the sponsor of today's video, Manta Sleep. Manta Sleep offers a range of high-quality sleep masks, each with their own unique designs and features, such as their weighted mask for total blackout and calming pressure while you sleep, or the Cool Mask, which provides a cooling blackout feel that soothes the eyes and sinuses. Or how about a Steam Mask, which relaxes and moisturizes the eyes. Or the one that I have, and my favorite, the Sleep Mask Sound, which includes razor-thin Bluetooth headphones inside of the mask, which allows you to quietly listen to soothing music or ambience as you sleep, even on planes or just in your casual day-to-day sleep, even having a 20-hour battery life, so you won't have to worry about it dying on you. And best of all, Manta is offering a 10% off discount to those who use my code sourcebrew at checkout. Again, make sure to use code sourcebrew at checkout and take advantage of 10% off one of these great premium sleep masks. Trust me, I've never slept better than with this mask. Thank you again to Manta Sleep. Now back to the video. Backroom's original photo. The Backrooms, as it came to be known, is an image that was first circulated on some of 4chan's boards and a couple of threads where users were posting images that feel off. It depicts a fairly bland and generic office space with fluorescent light and very few features, and was considered by some to be an example of a liminal space. A liminal space is something that is transitional, usually found between locations like an airport corridor or a hotel hallway, but also has a feeling of eerie loneliness to it, something that just feels so oddly bland and generic, and it's safe to say that the Backrooms fit that description. The Backrooms was originally posted along with a story, describing how someone could get lost forever inside of these generic and endlessly repeating rooms with no defining features, the sort of eerie story that is usually referred to as a creepypasta. One of the earliest examples of the accompanying image would be posted on the paranormal board of 4chan in May of 2019. As users began to try and find the original image and trace exactly where it originated from, they found previous iterations of it posted in April of 2018, this time on the random board. When users looked at the file name that was used for that posting, some suggested that it might be a Unix timestamp, which would indicate that it was July the 15th, 2012 when it was first posted on the boards. Despite trawling all of the available archives, no one could find a post around that date that matched. A Google Doc was created that compiled all of the known information at the time and the search methods that were being used. But for a number of years, short of some false leads, there was little progress made. A Brazilian YouTuber named Pedro Cultis would upload a video on July 19th, 2022, where they would discuss an image that they were sent from another user, later identified as Carmelo LB on the Lost Media Wiki. This version of the image had been downloaded in 2014, and while analyzing the new source, they would end up suggesting that the date of creation could be even further back, sometime around July 2002. However, a more definitive and final breakthrough would come on the 29th of May 2024, where a user in the Virtual World Discord server would announce a match for the image being found on the Wayback Machine from 2003. The original source was from Oshkosh, Wisconsin, and was a post from Hobbytown USA Racing Team, who raced RC cars, and this was a part of a building renovation they were doing at the time, and ended up being the only one out of the whole series that had the foresight to archive it. And just like that, the origin of the Backrooms, an origin that spawned creepypastas, Minecraft mods, and lore all of its own, was found once and for all. For what it's worth, many users realized that the metadata on the original found image matched the information provided by Pedro Cultis exactly, and it was seen as final proof that his video all these years back had in fact been correct, despite many being initially skeptical about his video. Everyone Knows That. Everyone Knows That is the name given to an excerpt of a song that had been considered lost media for a long time. The first instance of the soundbite would be found in 2021, when it was uploaded to What's That Song, where users help one another identify obscure songs or snippets that they could not track down themselves. The user who uploaded it was named Carl92, and he made the post on October 7th that year. Incidentally, this site still exists and has been helping confuse listeners since 2002, so if you have a tune or a clip that you just can't seem to track down, it might be worth heading to the website. In his description and in response to a number of suggestions, he would say the following, quote, Thanks. Sorry, that's all I have. I don't remember its origin. I rediscovered this sample between a bunch of very old files and a DVD backup. Probably I was simply learning how to capture audio and this was a leftover. The thing is, it sounds somewhat similar to me, or maybe I'm mistaken with a similar song, and I thought it wasn't going to be a too obscure one. I tried in ahamusic.com and also tried searching the lyrics, but my English is not good enough for that. This would be where he would highlight the portion of the song that he could make out, the snippet that soon became what the file would be known as. Everyone knows that. Due to the relatively poor quality of the audio and the difficulty in picking out the exact words, there were different suggestions made by various users as to what the lyrics even were, with the most common being as follows. You're counting all the sheep in the sky, caught up in a world of lies. Everyone knows that you've got ulterior motives. Tell me the truth, every move shows. Some suggested variations on some of these lines due to how difficult it was to decipher, such as theory of motives rather than every move shows, or caught up in a world of love rather than world of lies. The mystery would spread when the clip was put onto YouTube by a user called JK with an accompanying image of a purple boombox, the image that would soon become how most users would identify Everyone Knows That, or EKT. Eventually, the true source of the soundbite would be identified once and for all, seemingly without warning, on the 28th of April 2024. Someone, and we're not pointing fingers here, was watching a retro pornographic film released in 1986 called Angels of Passion, and they happened to notice the music playing in the background. From there, it would be correctly identified as a track called Ulterior Motives by Christian St. Booth and Philip Adrian Booth. Once this was confirmed, the full version of the lyrics were posted online, showing how close or how far the original guesses were from the actual song. A full version of the track was posted the next day, on the 29th of April 2024 to YouTube by the user Latin City, where it is available in its entire 2-minute and 50-second runtime, another piece officially found. The Boondocks Pilot. Aaron McGruger created a comic book in the manga style that he called The Boondocks, and would eventually be turned into a quite successful animated TV show, famous for its characters, its humor, and dialogue. It achieved cult status and at various points ran for 4 seasons between 2005 and 2014. It achieved many awards such as a Peabody Award and was syndicated outside of the US, being shown as far afield as Japan, Australia, and the UK. The lost media portion of the show relates to a pilot that Aaron McGruger and director Reginald Hudlin worked on for Fox Network around 2003. This was a 6-minute pilot and predates the official run on Adult Swim by a full 2 years, so fans were interested in seeing it when its existence became known. During an interview, McGruder discussed various issues they had with creating the pilot. Quote, "We did our best to do a Fox show, but frankly, I don't think the difficulties we had at Fox would be exclusive to Fox. I just think broadcast television in general is a very restrictive place. It's tough to be funny because there are so many eyeballs and there's so much money at stake that I think everything is just kind of overthought, and it's tough to be daring and do something different, either with regards to content or even structure. It's really a rigid landscape, and you can honestly see it in the show." By 2004, Fox confirmed to the pair that they would not be taking on the show after rejecting the pilot. Around the same time, Cartoon Network would view the pilot and spoke with Aaron. They would allow him to create his show as he wanted, without the restrictions that he felt held back the Fox pilot, and the rest, as they say, is history. Fans of the series became more interested in seeing what this prototypical and more sanitized version of the show they came to love would look like, but struggled to find much evidence of it on the internet anywhere. On the 7th of May 2016, a brief clip of the pilot would be posted on Twitter by Carl Jones. Jones was a series producer for the show, and the snippet would be only 21 seconds, but would give viewers a glimpse into what the pilot had been like, a different animation style that mirrored the comic book original a little closer. Rumors circulated that the full 6-minute pilot had been shown to attendees at various conventions over the years, but no proof of this was ever provided, and it remains unconfirmed. It would be YouTube user Cal_Eastwood who would end up producing the full video on the 17th of February 2024. With the user himself being unknown and there being no information as to how or when he accessed the clip, the full 6 minutes would be uploaded to the Internet Archive and the media was no longer considered lost. Barnyard 1999 pitch. Steve Odekirk is a name that will split most audiences in half. Roughly 50% of people will never have heard of him and will have no interest in anything that he's done. The other half might have seen Kung Pao Enter the Fist and appreciated his comedy in that satirical film, or known of his impact behind the scenes of the Ace Ventura series of films. He is basically either going to be a comic genius or a lunatic that has no reason to be anywhere near a film production ever, and he managed to get his name and his signature style all entangled around a pitch that was made around 1999 that would ultimately get rejected. Back at the Barnyard was a reasonably successful show that Nickelodeon chose to air for 3 years between 2007 and 2010. It was a spin-off from the 2006 film Barnyard and would meet with moderate success. However, before all of this success, there were apparently a number of unsuccessful pitches that went nowhere, with either the studio or with the test audiences. And one of these failed proposals claimed to have been sent as long back as 1999, but the only strange thing about this suggestion was that it now appears to be true. Produced by DNA Productions, it ran with the tagline of, quote, "What do animals do when humans aren't watching?" Evidence of this long-forgotten pilot can be seen during a trailer in 2005 when the Barnyard film was being advertised. There is also a backup of the DNA Productions website that seems to contain screenshots from this pilot. While it might be splitting hairs, a director for the show would later clarify that while these screenshots are genuine, it was more of a test pitch than an actual pilot. A YouTube user going by BuildShip would post on the 20th of December 2022 with further video clips of the test pitch, which she claimed to have found on a DVD for the 2006 Barnyard film in a behind-the-scenes segment with the various voice actors. With the location of the test pitch now known, it would take a little more than a year for a YouTuber named Live DJ Rock to buy a copy of the VHS from eBay and then rip the pitch from the behind-the-scenes segment and upload it to YouTube in full on the 20th of January 2024. There is little debate around this one. Many claim that the footage discovered is nothing more than a test pitch for the voice actors, but most others realize this is some sort of proof that there were intentions even as far back as that to include something like this. And for most, the date of the original recording is more than enough to consider this found. Minecraft Herobrine stream. The concept of Herobrine has been a subject of much debate and discourse within the Minecraft community for years now. He was a character that was based on the base model of Steve, but had white eyes and was said to be a harbinger of doom. Many other creepypasta-style theories grew up around him, describing the way that he would haunt and interact with vanilla servers and worlds, and was essentially considered to be a bad omen and a mythical character that would invade people's worlds. It was a meme and an idea that seemed to spread quite readily through the community, and it didn't take long for multiple people to come forward with their own experiences of encountering Herobrine and explaining exactly how he had infected their world. The list of backstories just seemed to grow longer as there were strong suggestions that it was the physical embodiment of Notch, Minecraft creator's dead brother. Despite the usual noise and back and forth that tends to happen when an urban legend like this pops up, there were many that paid close attention to one particular streamer that claimed to have captured Herobrine multiple times within his normal stream. Their creators were known as Brocraft, and after the dust had settled a little around the whole Herobrine idea, many users just pointed back to Brocraft streams, which seemed to have clearly shown instances of Herobrine interacting with the user, or at least him being visible on stream. However, when people went back to provide the evidence of this, they found that neither his videos nor screenshots from the stream were that easy to find at all. In fact, they seem to have disappeared from the internet altogether. However, due to the extensive detective work of multiple users over the intervening years, it seems as though the original source of the streams that spawned the countless comments and copypastas may have just been found this year. The original interest was spiked by a sighting of what was claimed to be Herobrine within a particular screenshot. Eventually, this screenshot would be proven to be a hoax and simply a false lead. The story of Herobrine and his apparent history would be one that would find its way to the boards of 4chan, where a popular creepypasta began and was reposted, with many of the original tropes of it being something hard-coded into the game that tampered with your world and was somehow done maliciously by Notch. These stories of people encountering Herobrine were present on the boards as early as 2010, and many of the stories of their encounters had these same characteristics. Herobrine would appear, many times in the background or somewhere else that wasn't initially noticed, and continue to hunt or haunt the user for the rest of their time in that world, tampering with whatever they were trying to do or just generally causing issues with them. The element of lost media that tied into this was regarding a particular user named Copeland, who streamed on the Brocraft channel. He was aware of the hype and the interest in Herobrine and chose to specifically Photoshop him into a portion of his world. When he was asked about it later, he would say that he simply wanted to lean into the hype of the rumor at the time and gain some interest. And there was no doubting that it was effective. He had Herobrine appear pretty passively at the end of a stream, and it certainly generated some interest. And when interest in the general mystery peaked, it was no surprise that interest in seeking out the original stream would also peak at the same time. Multiple YouTubers would end up making videos on the lore of Herobrine, and many of them would reference this original stream. But despite all of this interest, it would soon become apparent that no one had downloaded the original source at any point. Despite attempts to source the original material and even some efforts to reach out to the original creator, it would take until 2024 before the original footage was successfully recovered. In July, YouTuber Blame It on Jorge would make a video on the subject, and the very next day, on the 15th of July 2024, a user would reveal that he had downloaded the original streams and privately saved them. The streams were re-uploaded to YouTube, and for the first time in more than a decade, the actual footage of what might be the origin of the Herobrine concept was visible to all. Later, he would leave the following comment to let people know that he was completely unaware that the original streams were even considered lost media at the time. Quote, "I had no idea this was lost media. I downloaded this stream back in the day. I've had it uploaded privately to my channels for years, thinking it was nothing special. I've made the 2 videos available on my channel now, as well as some Herobrine clip I downloaded from YouTube back in the day." Luckily for the rest of us, he was made aware and made the videos available to all, leaving this media officially found. TMNT4 production materials. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is a series that has included cartoons, live-action films, and even video games, as well as multiple runs of various toys that will probably have been a part of most people's childhoods in one way or another. This portion of Lost Media is a reference to a 4th live-action movie that had been planned, but was scrapped before ever being fully completed, and the efforts of many users to seek out these scraps of concept art, scripts, or promotional materials, which seemed very difficult to track down. The previous entry in the film series, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, had been released in 1993, and the next year the creators began to work on their plans for the sequel. This concept, as requested by the studio, was going to be a story about the Turtles and their master Splinter gaining more mutations and additional abilities. A release date of sometime in 1996 seems to have been targeted, but it soon fell into development hell, languishing for several years, as the production company seemed to lose confidence in the new film and eventually pulled the plug, canceling it. There was never an official reason given for the cancellation, but some have suggested that the reception of the 3rd film was not as successful as expected, and the studio was lacking confidence that it would bring in the money they needed. Coupled with the costs involved not only in filming, but also in the creation of new costumes and special effects for these supposed additional abilities, there were any number of reasons that could have been behind it. Portions of the proposed pilot were pulled together over the intervening years by various people, mostly centered around these new mutations and powers that the Turtles and Splinter would experience. There was talk of a darker tone, or even a story that took place in a post-apocalyptic landscape, as well as a potential for a new turtle character. It seems as though some plans had been made to start producing the merchandise that would promote the film, but it would ultimately not go anywhere. Despite this, some concepts from the imagined 4th entry seem to have persisted in the franchise. The plan to have extra mutations and new powers was instead incorporated into the animated series, and the proposed subtitle of Next Mutation would be used for a different TMNT TV series. Despite these scraps of information that were gathered from interviews and articles around the web, very little actual media would ever surface from the cancelled show, and users would struggle to get their hands on any concrete evidence of what the proposed film was actually going to be about or look like. This would change in 2012. Drafts of the film's proposed scripts would be auctioned off online on the 11th of May 2012, with 3 different versions being bought. However, none of these versions were made available or viewable to the public, and the drought of actual, reliable data would continue. On the 7th of January 2024, a Lost Media Wiki user named Woomsboy, aka Woomy, would find one of these scripts through a Catbox link. Once this was uploaded, users were able to get at least a partial glimpse into what would have been the ideas behind this film that had been started 3 decades prior. While this still leaves the other 2 versions lost, it provides at least partial closure to this saga. Sailor Mouth Uncensored. SpongeBob SquarePants is a cartoon that has seemingly surpassed any amount of attempted targeting and managed to discover near universal acclaim around all ages, genders, and orientations. Even with the admittedly obsessive SpongeBob fandom, there still remain some minor elements of the series that seem to defy any amount of investigation, specific aspects that were deliberately obscured or censored. Now, there are a number of reasons why a cartoon would censor language, such as broadcast restrictions and legal limitations, but the main objective is always protecting younger users from having to hear or read words that are inappropriate for them. This would be the source of what became known as the Sailor Mouth Uncensored clip. An episode of the show featured Patrick and SpongeBob using swear words that are censored by being overdubbed with dolphin noises. When efforts from Squidward and Mr. Krabs to stop them prove unsuccessful, Mr. Krabs ends up losing his temper and saying every single rude word imaginable, all the while fully censored in the same way as previously described. People behind the scenes confirmed that the original plan had been to use different and inoffensive words, but when they found it difficult and inauthentic, they received permission from the network to use actual swear words since it would be censored anyway. It seemed more natural for the voice actors to use real offensive terms rather than try to manufacture fake ones. It was confirmed both by Tom Kenny, a prominent voice actor on the show and voice actor of SpongeBob, and again by Roger Bumpass, who voices Squidward, that these audio clips of them actually swearing as the characters exist somewhere, but they are likely held by Nickelodeon. In 2024, animator Paul Tibbitt would state that he actually had a VHS tape of the original and uncensored version, but wasn't sure where it was. None of this stopped fans and interested users from trying various methods to work out exactly what was being said underneath the censorship throughout the episode. Users took clips where the voice actors used swear words in live interviews and mixed them over the clips to try and generate the closest matches they could. Voice clips would emerge later in 2024 that were allegedly the original recordings, letting users hear the cast using the real swear words without the censorship. However, this has not been confirmed as authentic or in fact officially denied by anyone close to the production or any of the voice actors allegedly featured in the clip. There are even suggestions that AI may have been used in some capacity to manipulate or adjust the voices, so this one is maybe better listed as possibly found for now.
Eels.
Blow me!
You said number 11.
Charlie the Steak mobile game. A mobile game was published in 2013 by Sebastian Handel of Dynamic Dust named Charlie the Steak that centered around the titular Charlie and all the ways that the user could interact with him. Charlie would irritate and insult the player, and they would be free to use any of the multiple methods available to them to torture him in order to get their revenge. After a brief run and updates that carried on until the 2nd of July 2015, it would slip into obscurity. The violence inflicted on Charlie would ramp up through a number of game modes, escalating from the fairly innocuous Raw mode and increasing gradually through Rare and Medium before using Well Done mode to mete out the most extreme punishment. It would end up being delisted from the App Store, the only format that had been available, with speculation that it was potentially due to the violent gameplay or the gore that could be generated with Charlie. It was around the time that any 32-bit games like Charlie the Steak were delisted if they were not considered transferable to the 64-bit format. It was a relatively harmless stress reliever of a game, and one that didn't make a huge amount of waves at the time. It would be more than 10 years later when a renewed interest would be sparked in the game. Various users across several social media sites began to post about the game, despite the fact that it had been only available in the App Store and was currently no longer listed there. The tone of the game and the strange idea, as well as the gameplay mechanics, garnered a fair amount of interest due to how unusual they were. Videos began to be dug up of users reviewing the game back during its release cycle, and it only generated more buzz and interest around this quirky and odd game. With all the new eyes on the game, Sebastian Handel would end up making a number of posts on Reddit to clarify certain aspects of the game and its history. Firstly, he confirmed that Dynamic Dust had never made the game available for Android, and this was the reason that none of the APK files had been found by users. He would then confirm that Dynamic Dust had closed down as a company and that the delisting was nothing to do with the gore as many suspected. It would then be announced that he was working on a re-release of the game, one that was going to update to ensure that it was compiled with all of the guidelines to be relisted on the App Store. The re-release would be made available on the 4th of August 2024, although you need to be based in the US to access it at the time of writing. 2 days prior, on the 2nd of August, a user named Dipper Gaming managed to use the Internet Archive to upload the game's IPA file. And with that, Charlie the Steak was officially changed to being not only found, but arguably resurrected. Try to Smile Again. In another example of lost music media, a short 31-second clip of a song was uploaded on the 20th of March 2005 to spiritofradio.ca by a user named Merrick. It would come to be identified by the title Try to Smile Again, a portion of the lyrics that users could make out. At the time of the original upload, the user did not provide or seem to know the origin of the song, far less the title or the artist. The lyrics themselves were not exactly clear to most users, as they were heavily accented, and the pronunciation led many to believe that the original writer or artist performing the track did not speak English as a first language. A portion of the lyrics are as follows. Quote, "A million people must have stayed together. I can make you smile if you are sometimes crying. Forget your problems, try to smile again. If you really want to, I can really make it." While there are more lyrics, this was the portion that gave the sound clip its title while users searched for it. The mystery would see renewed interest when it was uploaded to YouTube by user LostWave on the 24th of May 2023. One of the more significant leads would occur towards the end of the same year, when a user of Spirit of Radio would post on the 19th of December claiming to be the original uploader. Quote, "Hello people of the forums. Have not been on here for a long time, but have seen many videos online about this song and found this link. The song was familiar in my head, and when I clicked on this, I found this post and it all came back to me. After all these months, here are your answers. A long time ago, in late 2004, me and my friend turned 17 and had our own cars and tape players. We found a blank tape at the side of the road, and we decided to give it a try. This tape has since been lost. We heard this song but didn't know where from, but we knew it was in our brains somewhere. I recorded this with my phone, hence the bad quality, but we spent months trying to find this song, and I came across this place and uploaded it. I forgot all about this as I was just a 17-year-old kid, but I do in fact remember this song. It is from Italy and was played at many discos and parties. The song is called Hold My Hand Tight by Rico. I can't remember his last name. This might not even be right." Users were divided on the authenticity of this comment and couldn't prove one way or the other whether this was truly information from the original Merrick or not. Early the next year, on February 14th, 2024, YouTube user John Heidi would post a longer version of the song along with the following explanation. Quote, "I recorded it from Estonian radio, can't remember exact station, early to mid 1990s, early 2000s. I sent 30 seconds of it under the name Oscar to Merrick's website where people could identify songs. The song was never identified, so 2 days ago I discovered that 30 seconds of the song is on YouTube and noticed that many people are interested, so I uploaded the full song, at least almost. 12 days later, on the 26th of February, it would be fully identified as a track called Bravely by Beat Boy. The next day, on February 27th, 2024, the full version would be uploaded and the media officially declared found. Sopranos LeBron James ad. So for our last entry here, I actually almost forgot to put this one in the video. The video was pretty much done, but this was actually one of my most wanted pieces of lost media to be found. And surprisingly, it actually was this year, so just throwing this one in here real quick because the video is basically already finished. But yeah, the ad James Gandolfini and Eddie Falco made, featuring them reprising their Sopranos roles and encouraging LeBron to join the New York Knicks in 2010 when he became a free agent, was found and posted on the Pablo Torre Finds Out podcast on April 16th, 2024.
Yeah, I'll take you down.
Tony, I'm so glad we moved to New York. Life is so much better now.
Yeah, life's good here, Carl. Even if we are in the witness protection program.
Now we just gotta find a place for your friend LeBron to live. What's he like?
Well, he's a modern guy, but he respects tradition.
And here's something classy on the east side.
Was it big enough? It's gonna be entertaining a lot of people in New York.
It's very expensive.
Oh, that's not gonna be a problem. You gotta find something magnificent. Something there's nothing in the world like it, one of a kind, like he is.
Well, here's a place. It says it gets really loud there. Take a look.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's it. That's gonna be perfect for him.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is...
So there you have it, 10 examples of media that were considered lost, right up until they reappeared this very year. Thanks again to Manta Sleep for sponsoring the video, and thank you guys for watching all the way to the end. It's been me, sourcebrew, and I'll see you guys with the next video. Take care, peace out.